Stereochemistry, the three-dimensional chemistry, is an important concept under chemistry wherein the three-dimensional structure of molecules are discussed. This will help us to understand the physical and chemical properties and various reaction mechanisms, especially in case of organic molecules and transition metal complexes. And stereoisomerism is an important part of stereochemistry wherein the differences in physical and chemical properties are discussed based on the differences in three-dimensional orientation of molecules or arrangement of atoms in the three-dimensional space. And this lecture series focuses on various kinds of stereoisomerism, and this first part discusses the conformational isomerism. And in the following lectures, we will see various configurational isomerism.
So let's begin with isomerism. Isomerism is the phenomenon of having two different molecules with the same molecular formula. For example, in this case, the compound ABCD has got at least two different forms where the atoms are arranged in different orders. Like in the first one ABCD and in the second one it is ACDB. So this two different arrangement of atoms or this two different connectivity give rise to two entirely different compounds which are called isomers, and they differ in their physical and chemical properties. That phenomenon is called isomerism, and isomerism is actually one of the major reasons why we have got numerous organic chemicals around us. For example, just from the atoms carbon, hydrogen, nitrogen and oxygen, the nature has got millions and millions of combinations, and that is made possible especially due to the phenomenon isomerism. And isomerism is mainly of two types, the constitutional isomerism and stereoisomerism. Constitutional isomerism is the one in which the molecules differ in connectivity, as we have seen in this case of ABCD here. For example, these two molecules, 1-butene and 2-butene, these two molecules differ in the connectivity such that the double bond is present in between the first and second carbon for the 1-butene, and that is present in between second and third carbon in case of 2-butene. And just this difference in connectivity makes the two molecules to behave in different ways chemically. On the other hand, stereoisomerism occurs due to the difference in spatial arrangement of atoms or groups, but they have got same connectivity. That is, the structural formula is the same, but the arrangement, if you draw the three-dimensional structure, they look different. Like in these two examples, in the first case, the two methyl groups are projected towards you, whereas in the second one, the first methyl group is projected towards you and the other is away from you behind the screen. This difference makes the molecules to behave differently in chemical reactions or in optical properties, and that is stereoisomerism. And our focus of the discussion is stereoisomerism, and let's see that stereoisomerism is divided again into two, the conformational isomerism and configurational isomerism. Configurational isomerism is of two types, further geometrical isomerism and optical isomerism. And we will see in the later session that optical isomerism is again two types, enantiomers and diastereomers. So this is the classification of stereoisomerism, and in the different upcoming sessions we will discuss each of this class, and in the current session we are seeing conformational isomerism. Conformational isomerism is the stereoisomerism in which the two isomers differ by rotation about a single bond. When the part of a molecule is rotated about a single bond, you get a new three-dimensional orientation, and those two appearances differ, and that is called stereoisomerism. And conformers are those isomers which differ by a rotation about a single bond. As we are discussing about three-dimensional structure of molecules, we need to have a way to represent the three-dimensional structure in our normal two-dimensional plane. So we have got different modes of representing three-dimensional structures, and we are now seeing some of such representations which is useful for our further discussions. Here, let's have an example of ethane. Ethane has got a three-dimensional form like this, but this is not always easy to represent in the plane of the paper. Therefore, we need to have a way out, and one of the system is wedge dash formula. where the solid lines represents the bond which are placed in the plane, and this empty triangle represents the bonds which are placed away from you, and the filled triangles show bonds which are placed towards you. So these two hydrogens are projected downward, but this greenish one is away from you and the reddish one is towards you. Likewise, on the second carbon, this hydrogen is placed away from you but upwards, and this hydrogen is placed towards you, again upwards. So this is the wedge dash representation of ethane. Another representation is Sohor's projection, where the molecule is viewed from the front but in a slight angle. So you see these two carbons, this junction and this junction show the two carbons, and each carbon has got 3 hydrogens attached on it. And in the Newman projection, you are looking the molecule from the front side. You've got your first carbon here at this junction, and the second carbon is behind this one. So as you are looking from the front side, you cannot see the second carbon which is placed behind the first carbon. But you can here see the 3 hydrogens attached on the second carbon, because these hydrogens on the second carbon are not placed in the same line as in the front carbon in this particular arrangement. This is how we read the Newman, Sohor's and wedge dash projections of 3-dimensional molecular structures. And with this in hand, let's now move on to see the conformations in ethane. Ethane, the Newman projection looks like this. And now I am rotating the carbon-carbon sigma bond through a slight angle. So I get this projection, and again I am rotating it through another angle, then I am getting a new projection. So every time when I rotate the second carbon which is placed behind about this carbon-carbon bond, I get newer and newer projections and 3-dimensional structures, and each of the structure is different from the previous one, and so each of the structure form the different conformers or conformations of ethane. And at certain angle of rotation, I reach a conformation like this, where the hydrogens on the front and the back carbons are placed on the same line. And again when I rotate this conformation through 60 degree, I get a new orientation, a new conformation. And again I am rotating, I get this conformation, and this is changing. Whenever I rotate, I get newer and newer structures which are different conformations or conformers. And it is interesting to note that in this particular conformation, the hydrogens on the front carbon and back carbon are placed far apart, whereas in this conformation, I've got hydrogens placed close to each other. And these two are extreme conformations, and in between these two extreme conformations, you can have infinite number of other conformations. And now we are seeing these two extreme conformations closer. So here is the first one, where the hydrogens are distributed far apart. Therefore, this orientation is called the staggered conformation. And when you rotate the second carbon about the carbon-carbon single bond through 60 degrees towards right, you get this conformation. This is the eclipsed conformation, where the hydrogens on the first and second carbon are eclipsed to each other. That is, they are lying on the same line. And this difference in placement of hydrogens give rise to different kinds of interactions and therefore different stability to the two forms. For example, here in this eclipsed conformation, those two hydrogens here are close to each other, so they experience a eclipsing strain or kind of steric strain. This gives rise to certain strain and certain degree of uneasiness in the molecule. On the other hand, the staggered conformation does not experience that strain, and here the hydrogens are widely distributed. Therefore, the staggered conformation is more stable than the eclipsed conformation. Let's see the energy profile, and it looks like this. The eclipsed conformation possesses higher energy than the staggered conformation, and the energy difference is only 3 kilocalories per mole. And with rotation through every 60 degrees, you are switching from different staggered and eclipsed conformations. But here in ethane, As both the carbons have got the same substituents, all the three are hydrogens on each carbon, all the eclipsed forms are identical and all the staggered forms are identical. So all the eclipsed forms have higher energy than all the staggered forms. And let's now look for another alkane, butane, where you have got 4 carbons and the staggered structure will look like this, that is the first carbon, second carbon and third carbon is behind and the fourth carbon is here. And if I rotate the second half of the molecule through 60° towards right, I get this conformation, the eclipsed conformation like this. And as we have seen before, the eclipsed conformation will be larger energy than the staggered conformation because here there is a steric strain or eclipsing strain inside this molecule. But the substituents on each carbon are different. That is, on each carbon there are 2 hydrogens and 1 methyl group. This gives rise to a difference that if I rotate this particular eclipsed conformer through 120 degrees, I get another eclipsed conformer. But the difference is that here the methyl group on the second carbon and hydrogen on the third carbon are parallel to each other, whereas here in the second eclipsed form, the 2 methyl groups placed on the second and third carbons are eclipsed to each other. So there is a larger degree of steric strain here because 2 bulky groups are placed close to each other. Here, although the methyl group is large, the hydrogen is not that large, so the steric strain will be less here in the first eclipse structure than the second eclipse structure. So that gives rise to different energies among the 2 eclipse structures, and likewise there are differences among the staggered structures too, like this. Considering the eclipsed and staggered, obviously the staggered conformations are more stable, less energetic than the eclipsed conformations because the staggered structure is devoid of the eclipsing interactions, the steric interactions. But if you compare the 2 eclipsed structures like this one and this one, here in this eclipsed structure, the 2 bulky methyl groups are on the same line placed close to each other. So there is a higher degree of steric strain here. But in this structure, the methyl groups, the bulky groups are placed not that close to each other. And therefore, these 2 structures which are similar are lower energy conformers than this one and this one, where the 2 bulky methyl groups are placed close to each other. And coming to the staggered structures, we can see that these 2 methyl group in the staggered structure, they are relatively close to each other than the one in the middle because here the bulky methyl groups are placed opposite to each other. So these differences also give rise to difference in steric strain, and therefore this extremely staggered structure is the lowest energy structure, whereas the other 2 staggered structures are a bit higher in energy. So that's about the conformation in butane. And now let's have a look on cycloalkanes, for example cyclohexane. And this is a cyclic compound, a ringed structure, and the stability of these cyclic structures were explained based on Bayer's strain theory, which states that the planar cyclic structure is the most stable with this bond angle, and whenever the bond angle in the molecule deviates from this value, there occurs certain angle strain. That is the idea of Bayer's strain theory. And if we look at cyclohexane, it has got an angle of 120 degrees. That marks a huge deviation from this standard or expected bond angle. Therefore, according to this theory, cyclohexane is unstable. But in reality, we know that cyclohexane is not that vulnerable to chemical reactions and it is highly stable compound. That means we need to revisit the Bayer's theory, and it is found that cyclohexane does not occur as a planar compound but occur as different puckered ring structures. Here is the planar version of cyclohexane. And by flipping of this ring, you can reach at this structure. That is, if you flip this carbon upward and this carbon downward, you reach a structure called chair conformation. And on further flipping of this chair structure, you get a board. That is, this carbon is flipped further upwards to get the board conformation. And again, if you flip this carbon downwards, the ring flipping will give you another chair conformation. So the ring flipping will give you different conformations varying from this chair form to the opposite chair form through another extreme conformation called boat form. And in between the chair forms and boat form, we can get numerous other conformations. But these three are the extreme conformations and therefore we look at them closely. And one important thing to notice is that on each conformer, you've got two different types of hydrogens based on their alignment. For example, the hydrogens shown in red here are placed along the axis of the molecule and therefore these are called axial hydrogens. And the other hydrogens in blue are placed along the equator and these are called equatorial hydrogens. So there are a set of axial hydrogens and a set of equatorial hydrogens on each conformer like this. And it is interesting to see that when the ring is flipped from one chair form to boat form and then to the other extreme chair form, the alignment of hydrogens changes. That is, the axial hydrogens in these chair forms are aligned at the equatorial positions when it comes to the other extreme chair form. That means during ring flipping, the equatorial hydrogens are converted to axial hydrogens and axial hydrogens are converted to equatorial hydrogens. It is very obvious that the chair conformation is a staggered conformation, whereas the boat looks like this, showing that this is an eclipsed conformation. And therefore, the staggered conformation, that is the chair conformation, devoid of angle strain and eclipsing strain as well as steric strain. Because these two CH2 groups, for example, are placed far apart. On the other hand, coming to the boat conformation, there is a certain degree of angle strain and the hydrogen pairs and the CH2 pairs experience eclipsing strain. And there is a steric strain when you look at these two flagpole hydrogens. The hydrogens placed on this flagpole positions of the boat are called flagpole hydrogens. These two hydrogens over there, as they are projected towards each other, they experience a steric crowding. So the slight angle strain and the significant eclipsing strain and the steric crowding due to the flagpole hydrogens make the boat conformation higher in energy and lower in stability when compared to the chair conformer. Here is the energy profile. When you go from the chair to boat, chair is more stable than the boat. When you flip from chair to boat, you can see that you are going through infinite number of other conformers, among which the half chair is the highest energy conformer because it possesses angle strain, eclipsing strain and steric strain significantly. When the half chair is converted through boat, you get a twist boat conformer which is devoid of angle strain in comparison to the boat. So this is how you get different conformers of cyclohexane by ring flipping from chair to the other extreme chair through the boat conformer. And here, looking at the two chair conformers, both are equal in energies because the significant difference is only there. The axial hydrogens in the first chair is converted to equatorial coming into the second chair and vice versa. But as all the substituents are the same atom hydrogen, this will not give rise to any difference. But let's look at an interesting case of substituted cyclohexane. For example, the methyl substituted cyclohexane where one of the hydrogens is substituted by methyl group. And here in this particular chair conformer, the methyl group occupies the axial position. Therefore, this conformer is called axial methyl cyclohexane. And when this chair is flipped to get the other chair conformer, the axial atoms are converted to equatorial atoms and vice versa. Therefore, the axial methyl group is now the equatorial methyl group and therefore this conformer is called equatorial methyl cyclohexane. Now let's look at the energy difference. For that we just number these carbons by 1, 2, 3. Here the methyl group present on this carbon number 1 and this hydrogen present on the carbon number 3, as they are occupying the axial positions, develop 1,3 diaxial interaction better visible through the Newman projection. This methyl group here and one of those hydrogens from here, they experience a diaxial interaction, that is 1,3 diaxial interaction On the other hand, in the equatorial methyl group, its Newman projection is like this, where the methyl group is not in the vicinity of this hydrogen at all. Therefore, this structure is devoid of such 1,3 diaxial interaction. Therefore, it is more stable than the axial methyl cyclohexane. So, considering the substituted cyclohexane, the alignment of substituent matters. That means the different chair conformers, even though both are staggered, have got slightly different energies because of this 1,3 diaxial interaction, like in case of axial methyl cyclohexane. So that's shortly about conformational isomerism for the time being, and in the upcoming session we will discuss the geometrical isomerism, which is a kind of configurational isomerism. And thank you until then.